Hello and welcome to the Journey of Becoming. I'm Karrie Mitten, your host today. And before we get started, a quick question. Are you ready to break through to your next level? Uplevel Your Life Consulting is where executive success meets soul-aligned strategy. If you're a high-performing professional or an entrepreneur who's accomplished a lot, but deep down knows that there's more clarity, more impact, more freedom, more you, then this is your moment. Our executive coaching is for leaders who are seeking clarity through burnout and ready to realign with purpose and values. Maybe navigating chronic stress, compassion fatigue, and the need for sustainable daily rhythms. Maybe determined to flourish personally and professionally with courage, boldness, and confidence. Or ready for a trusted transformational guide who understands leadership, wellness, and real world impact. With personalized coaching, proven mindset tools, and intentional strategy, we help you optimize your wellness, act boldly and confidently, and guide your life and leadership forward so you can truly flourish, not just function. This isn't about doing more, it's about becoming aligned with who you are and how you're meant to lead. Let's talk about what's possible for you. Book a free clarity call today, and let's create a bold vision for the next level of your becoming. Visit www.uplevelyourlifeconsulting.com to schedule your call today because you didn't come this far to only come this far. And now on with the show. So our guest today is Meichle Latham, founder of Meichle Latham Wellness, a wellness strategy and coaching practice that helps entrepreneurs, executives, professionals, and organizations flourish through clarity, courage, boldness, and confidence. As a wellness strategist, licensed clinician, leadership and wellness coach, and nonprofit and workplace wellness consultant, Meichle supports individuals and teams to optimize their well-being, mitigate burnout, and create sustainable rhythms for both life and leadership. After nearly 30 years in nonprofit leadership, Meichle transformed her own experience with burnout into a powerful mission, guiding others to realign, act boldly, and flourish with purpose and authenticity. So, Meichle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Karrie. And what an introduction. It's just so nice to hear.
Right? Well, we don't often hear things that nicely about ourselves, do we? Or say that about ourselves. But
Right, right.
yeah.
So,
Well, so happy to have you here today. And I just would love to just get started by, talking about your journey, where you were, what happened in your transition and where you are today.
Thank you. And I just want to say from the onset of outreach and getting this all set up for us to be together, it has been such a warm welcome. And I just want you to know that before
Oh,
I
thank you.
forget and don't share that.
Appreciate it.
Um,
Thank you.
so yeah, as you introduced, I had been in the nonprofit space for about 30 years and as a social worker by profession and advancing myself throughout the organization into various leadership positions, which I continuously said, I'm expanding my sphere of influence. I'm making a difference in a different way. And, it was really based on the leadership ahead of me who saw the value in me and those qualities of leadership that I did not see in myself at that time
Mm,
and kept questioning, can I really do this? And fortunate to have the support that led me to continue to grow and advance.
mm,
And over that time, I began, moving into these positions where there's less support. You start to feel alone because you're in these higher level positions. And then also trying to decipher who are the people that I can trust to really confide in around some of those things that I might be challenging, whether it be my mindset or questioning my skill set, having to expose myself in new spaces that I had not been familiar with, having to attend a board meeting for the first time, all those things that really cause angst and growth.
mhm.
Um, and so I navigated myself to a chief operating officer position, and there was some leadership changes that were happening. And in in the community and across the country, there are a lot of things happening, including COVID.
Mm,
And I just found myself in a space of I cannot tolerate any more of all of this stress and the toxicity of some of the things that I was navigating. And it really hit me in January 2023, but I was starting to feel it. earlier than that, that I just didn't have it in me. We were trying to put some healing circles together for some team members as it
Mm,
related to the stress of what was happening in the community. And I said, I got nothing left. I need to just take care of myself. And then
mm,
I started to really take a look at what was happening for me and decided I needed to move myself out of that space and questioning, well, what do I do? And
mhm,
there's always some question around, well, if I make this change, how this might be perceived in the community, and am I going to, or in that not nonprofit community, and
mm,
will this sabotage my ability to find another job? Will there be question around why is she leaving? She's been there for X amount of years.
mm,
So I decided, looked at all my leadership assessments over the course of about 10 years and looked at what the commonalities were and said, you know what, I'm going to take a leap of heart and I am going to start my own business and bring all of the skill set, the experience, and the passion that I have for being a support and helping other people not get to a place of burnout.
mm.
And decided I would just start my own business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here you are. I love what you said, and earlier on that people saw in you what you didn't see in yourself, And I mean, I think that that is so true for a lot of us that, um, you know, and you even said, am I really capable of doing this? Can I really do this? And gratefully and thankfully that you had people around you that said yes you can, right, and leapt over those thoughts and helped you to to see the true power that you have inside of you and able to do that, and that probably was a catalyst for what you do now. So tell us what it is that you do now.
Yes, so I fortunate to be a social worker,
Mhm.
licensed
Yeah.
clinical social worker. So I provide mental health counseling through health insurance and self-pay for professionals, entrepreneurs, executive level leaders who are really looking to get a handle on the anxiety, the depression, the compassion fatigue, the burnout.
Mhm.
Um, and really, as you mentioned about your own coaching practice, the
Mhm.
alignment around values and priorities, and really taking a step back and reflecting on how aligned am I? So, the
Mhm.
tagline for my business is fostering purpose and harmony for optimal impact.
Mhm.
So, are we clear about what our purpose is, how we want to be feeling, and are we doing an adequate job of aligning our allocation of our resources,
Mhm.
mostly time, to the
Mhm.
things that truly are of value to us and priority. And then
Mhm.
I also do coaching, and that is wellness coaching as well as professional and career coaching.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then through my consulting work, I do a variety of things in the nonprofit space. I do interim operations when the short-term vacancy, because we know the strain when there is a vacancy
Mhm.
and how other people have to step in, and that presents a potential loss of additional staff if they're having to absorb all of that. I do
Mhm.
workplace wellness consulting workshops and some other things in my local community. I supervise students in a local social work program to help them from the onset of becoming a social worker, make sure that they've got those healthy rhythms in place. And I
Mhm.
also serve as the member outreach and engagement coordinator for our anti-stigma coalition, which is
Mhm.
aimed to eliminate the stigma associated with mental illness so that people are feeling more comfortable about accessing care.
Love it. Love it. And it sounds like you've really stepped into so many beautiful things that the world needs right now. And it's interesting, Michelle, you said, and I wrote this down, and this is the third time I've heard it today. So, when you
Huh.
say things three times, and that is compassion fatigue, right?
Mhm.
And and I think it's really interesting that I wrote that down and then you said now you support people in compassion fatigue. And I think that we use our experiences, our especially, I mean, coaches especially, we use what we've gone through as a catalyst to support others. And once we do, as we're doing our healing from that, we're helping others healing to heal from that as well. And I think that, it's a beautiful thing when you can glean from your own experiences and reframe it so that it is um, an actual testimony and an actual healing journey for both you and your client. And it doesn't necessarily have to be compassion fatigue, but I heard that twice, right? I heard it that you
Right.
have it hearing it. I wrote it down, and then that's what you talk about, and or you share with your clients. So that's beautiful. So tell me, when you left corporate America, and you and I had a quick conversation about this, but when you left corporate America, what were you thinking about, stepping into a new business all by yourself and, and all those things? What was coming up for you then? Because I know it's not easy to leave, that comfortable position,
Hmm.
that you've been doing for a long time and taking on a whole new role all by yourself, which I've done it and I know what some of the things that you get to go through, but tell me what your experience was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a mixture of emotions. So,
Mm-hmm.
as I was mentioning before we started our podcast, my Myers-Briggs personality preference is an INTJ. And so the I being very introverted, which means I get largely energized by being by myself and
Mm-hmm.
in my own thought.
Mm-hmm.
The last letter J really refers to how you approach things. And some people are more of a P, fly by the seat of your pants. And I'm more of a J, which means methodical, planful, um, systematic in terms of how I approach things. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I was questioning what I should do, and one of the things that I did is I took all my personality assess or leadership assessments and looked at what the commonality was to help guide me in deciding what I should do. Again, being in that position, it was really hard for me to have a community to be able to process what I was navigating because then it becomes real. Once you say it out loud, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And um, to find a trustworthy community of people that you could have that conversation with, I was very fortunate to have this serendipitous experience where I was able to process with a couple of people. And then it brought me to a place of, um, I have this idea and I'm going to socialize it. I met up with about 45 different women in early 2023 to tell them about this idea that I had about blending my experience as a social worker, as a leader, nonprofit executive manager, and 100% support from these women who told me, yes, you should do it. You are uniquely positioned to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
so that really moved me to a place of, okay, I really can, similar to having the leadership mentoring growing up, in that organization, felt like, okay, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to have fun. Like around that time, I just completed Leadership Buffalo, did a lot of networking with out of the norm people that I was meeting with. So it wasn't all nonprofit people.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I realized how much I love networking and knowing that in order to start a business and having grown up in the nonprofit world, that the reality is most of the work, the business that happens, the success that happens is based on relationships. And so I knew I need to be nurturing my relationships and having built a network over 30 years, I'm going to start with the people that I already have connections with. And
Right.
so that got me to a place of like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then when I first started, not knowing anything, I was just, let me learn everything. And it was also, I did a lot of window shopping of who are
Mm-hmm.
the people that I want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Honestly, podcasts were
Mm-hmm.
so critical for me because I would find podcasts that were inspiring and aligned with the messages I knew I needed to keep myself on that path.
Right.
So then I just started living boldly and courageously and just reaching out to people and saying, so what's the worst that's going to happen? They don't reply, they say no, then I'll move on to the next.
Right. Right. And I love how you have really driven home the idea of surrounding yourself with good, positive people who are feeding into you, who are lifting you up. I believe that we are not supposed to do life alone, and even though we're the ones that are taking the action, we're the ones that are moving the ball, moving it forward. Having that support system, that structure, that accountability, that networking opportunity, the relationships that you've built in the past. I mean, that is so, so vitally important.
Hmm.
It's just I mean, I work from home. I all through COVID, I opened my door to my coaching business in February of 2020, and in
Wow.
March of 2020, the the thing that we don't want to talk about anymore happened, and had I not had my group, my support system around me to say, hey, no, 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 let's just pivot. What can you do from what you have with where you are to continue to take the action, right? And I don't know that I would be here today. And boy, would I be, it would be a very what's the word I'm looking for? There would be a lot of people who would be very sad, still sad today because I wasn't in in the field that I'm in. So, yeah, having
Yeah.
that structure of support is so, so vitally important. So, as far as mindset goes, when you were opening your business, your coaching and consulting business. You mentioned it earlier. Am I really, can I really do this? You're talking about moving into the COO,
Hmm.
right? As far as your coaching business is concerned, what were some of the mindset challenges that you had there?
Yeah, there were times that I would question, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to build something that's sustainable?
Mm,
And and I remember being really proud at the times where I could say that thought has only crossed my mind on a handful, on a handful of times. And I would tell myself because and there's still times that okay, things are okay right now and I don't know what the next is. It's not that hard income that you can count on. And and I bring myself back to, okay, you're here
mhm,
and you've gotten beyond that before.
mhm,
And if you waste energy and emotion worrying about what if and not having something guaranteed right now, you miss the opportunity to embrace and bring this abundance mindset forward of what are the opportunities because you're so focused, you're looking beyond what
mhm,
exists right now. And so
mhm.
I have to do a lot of my own self-talk and coaching to keep myself
Right.
on track. And again, the community,
Mhm.
making sure that I'm positioning myself in ways that I'm building myself up for success.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I am my best coach. I mean, the best coach is for me is me, right? Although I stay in a study, I'm always in a coaching program or some type of structure of support because I also know that I have drift,
Yeah.
that if I don't stay in a structure of support that, I can get way far down the road and way off track if I don't have that. And so that's why I think coaching is so vitally important to everyone. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
deserves to have a coach. I mean, and I'm not just saying that because I am one. If I wasn't one, I would have one because it's just so, so easy to, have that go down that rabbit hole of, disdain and distraction and delay and, the whole thing. So, so beautiful. Yeah. So what's on the horizon for you? What's your next big action? What would you love to have happen in your business in the next year or so?
Yeah, so I've been in business for a little over 2 years,
Mhm.
and I have been really grateful for the opportunities that have come to me that I didn't even kind of plan out or envision in the first place. And
Mhm.
I think having that abundance mindset, nurturing those relationships, it's funny because two of the things that I'm doing right now are related to my first ever field educators over 30 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And nurturing those relationships with them have brought me to a place of these opportunities where they think of me and they want to sponsor me and amplify me.
Mhm.
And so I think about, how do I reflect on where I've come so far and appreciate the fact that a lot of it hasn't been anything that I planned. Um, and also in a place of refinement and
Mhm.
understanding more of where am I getting the most joy? Going back to my own tagline around purpose and harmony, how do I refine my percentage of time that I'm investing in X, Y, or Z? Because that's what's bringing me most joy. And I
Mhm.
love the one-on-one time with coaching and the counseling. I think
Mhm.
that speaks more to my introvertness too, of being more of like a one-on-one person. And I love continuing to expand my sphere of influence with opportunities that I've had to be able to speak at conferences, and
Mhm.
provide workshops in the workplace to really cultivate workspaces that honor the well-being of our team members, that will allow them to be more present and more engaged and contribute more to the company, which then the profitability of the company is improved while their payroll costs are going down and their healthcare costs are going down because they're investing on the front end to the
Right.
well-being of their team members. So I'm loving exploring opportunities to do that. And all of that has come by being sponsored by other people who want me to be successful. So they're introducing me to these opportunities that I hadn't even thought about. So I would love the opportunity to go to an out of town conference and out of state conference
Mhm.
and be able to continue to expand my sphere of influence.
Mhm. Mhm. Love that. Love that. So, and you know, one of the things that I love about coaching is that, we're continuing to up level our own life and our own desires and our own accomplishments, right? And and I think that, taking taking it to a big stage uh is, and especially this time of in the days that we're living in right now, the message that we have is so vitally important. Um, One of the things I'm curious about, was there a turning point or a pivotal point in your career when you just knew that there was something else calling you? And what did that look like? What was your internal dialogue with that around that? I'm just curious how you knew when it was time to go, and how did you know what you were going into, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And when I reflect back, because hindsight is always 2020.
Yes. Right?
But I reflect back to 2014, and I remember saying to my CEO at the time that all of the services we provide at this organization are really about wellness. Why are we not marketing ourselves as a wellness organization? And I think we should have a wellness champion, and I think it should be me.
I love
And and he said at the time, I really love your enthusiasm. Um, why don't you start within your own department and, do the things that you want to do? And
Mm,
so my department head at the time was very open and supportive and allowed me to do presentations to our own my colleagues essentially. And so
mhm,
I had that bug already in me around wellness, and I loved um, developing other people. I was a leader from 2011. So I had this, I want to make an impact. I want to help improve the lives of other people beyond the direct service of the people that I was serving.
mhm,
And then I got into running. And in 2021, I was training for my fourth and last marathon in Chicago.
mm,
And I had made a commitment to myself that year that I was going to run or walk every day for at least a mile.
mhm,
And at the end of 2021, I was like, what is going on with my body? Now, I did turn 50 that year, so I'm
mhm.
sure hormones played a big part into it. But that was like the pivotal starting to pay attention to what is going on and then starting to realize the stress, the cortisol, the association with the position that I was in, the organization that I was in, and all the things that we were needing to navigate humanitarian crises.
Mm,
Um, and that was really the turning point of like noticing. And
mm,
then when I got to the point in 2022 where I was getting very visceral reactions, being in spaces with the male leaders that
mm,
I needed to work with,
mhm,
and some of the other dynamics that were happening in the organization, that's when I was like, I got to pay attention to this. And I always talk about that with the people that I'm working with around the indicators that something is off kilter. It
mhm,
may not be directly related, but
mhm,
there's something off. And so to get back to this place of harmony, I don't like to use the word balance because that gives a connotation that there's equal, and at any given point, it's a different level of investment. But as long as it's flowing
mhm,
and you're being attentive to all those facets of your wellness, then you can be um, pleased or gratified with your harmony.
mhm.
So it really was over a course of time, but that pivotal moment of like really seeing what what it was doing to me on the outside.
Mhm.
And then the other piece of it was the compassion fatigue, of
Mhm.
just not having the ability to be emotionally available to other people,
Mhm.
especially in a role that really required that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. I'm going to say this again. We use our trials as our testimony, right? Like what we've gone through. Now we're compassionate and we're advocates for supporting people going through that, that experience. And it's, similar to me. I mean, I was in corporate America for 25 years and just never felt empowered, constantly trying, to make a name for myself. And,
Yeah,
and even though I had success on the outside, I mean, it was just a really, oh gosh, belittling experience. Not that it's for everyone. For me, it was, but I use that as my springboard, for supporting women to stand up for themselves, to empower themselves, to speak their truth,
hmm,
to claim their spot, to have the mindset of a CEO, whether you're a CEO of your desk or your office or your family or your business, right? That it's important to to have that mindset. So
yeah.
this has been such a great conversation. I really an incredible journey. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
this with us. It was a pleasure to hear all the stories, and I know that our listeners are going to leave feeling empowered and knowing that there are signs and signals that life is calling us into a greater, freer, fuller, more expanded expression. And if we just listen and lean in and watch for the signs, that absolutely
Yeah,
is what happens. So before we wrap up,
thank you.
Michelle, where can our listeners connect with you, learn more about your work?
The best thing is michellelatham.com, Meicle dot Latham
Okay.
Latham at dot com, MichelleLatham.com.
Okay.
And that there you can read more about my story, on my website. It also has all my social media handles, including blogs and podcasts that I've been a guest on, and also partnering up with another colleague around kicking off a podcast.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
and your website will be in the show notes. So you can, they'll be able to grab that there as well. So again,
Thank
thank you
you.
for being here today. I know your story is going to keep our listeners feeling empowered, ready to take action. So for everyone tuning in, remember that your journey of becoming starts with one brave step. Just take that step today.
Yes.
So until next time, keep embracing your transformation. Bye for now.